I'm very excited to share with you my articulation spreadsheet. This is supposed to make articulation data collection easier and more efficient. So what I've done is I have created various tabs on the bottom of this spreadsheet. Each tab will be for a different student. The first tab you notice will say template, and this is kind of my example that you can copy and paste from. So you could also click the little upside down triangle and click duplicate if you would like to add additional students. When I do this, I have a different tab for each of my students. You then can click the triangle again, select rename, and you can change the name so that each of your students' names will be listed across the bottom. Of course, after you get more than 10 students, that will become a little bit longer, so you can click the 3 lines right here in order to access all of your spreadsheets. Then you'll see a list of your student names, and you'll be able to toggle between various students to collect data. So right here is my template. I'm just going to show you an example for a student named Mandy. So I put in some provider notes here, as well as her percentage of accuracy. You'll notice I have them in as percents, but you can also type in a fraction for her data collection. Say she earned 12 correct out of 19 trials. When you click enter, it will automatically calculate it into a percentage. Also for sound targeted, this will color code according to the letter or sound that is targeted. So as you can see, the various sounds will color code differently. The next column has the speech objectives. So as you can see, Mandy is targeting the initial S, medial Z, and R in isolation. So as you're typing your notes for this student, I have a separate row for each of the sounds that the student is targeting. This makes it easier to organize your data. So she earned a 70% while targeting R in the initial position and in isolation. I also targeted at the consonant vowel level. And as you can see in my notes, I just put that she had difficulty staying focused and on task today. She required cues to retract her lips and smile prior to vocalizing. She completed trials at the consonant vowel level but was unsuccessful and to continue to work in isolation. And as you scroll over, you'll be able to see that she targeted the R in isolation, consonant vowel just like I said, and you can continue to scroll over to see various options. And all you're doing is checking the boxes, so it'll be much faster than typing. She had to require direct imitation, moderate cues, verbal, visual, hand gesture cues were all utilized. When we talk about the S production, she worked on it in the initial position at word level, and all you're doing is checking these boxes. She did not have a model. No model was provided. She required minimum cues, verbal cues, and she required audio-visual feedback, such as a video recording. So that is how she was able to produce the S sound at the 80 percentile level. So I did put a couple different options under these checkboxes for provider notes. You can use these or you can add your own. So these are just a couple different things here so I could quickly select. You can only select one per row. So if you wanted to select multiple, you would have to select a second row for that student at that date. Okay? Or of course you could copy this data and you could paste it into the same cell. But there was just a couple different options there that you could do for the drop down, so that required less typing. You could also double click into that cell and you can download a voice to text app that would type for you, and I'll show you how that would work. So my voice to text app is called Voice in Typing, and if you go to the Google Chrome store, you can download this extension for the computer. Of course, if you're working on a tablet or an iPad, they would already have voice to type on there. This is what it would look like if I were to use voice to text. As you can see, the text is formulating on the top of the screen, whenever I pause, the text will format into the cell. So that's kind of an easier way to type your notes, and they would automatically input into the cell, which would require less typing, which would make you a little more efficient there as well. And as you can see on the bottom here, we have all the students listed. Like I said, I would have a different spreadsheet for each of my students. And then click over here where it says all sheets. You'll be able to toggle in between students. So the first sheet, of course, is our template. And if you wanted to add additional students, you would click the little upside down triangle. You would select duplicate, and it would create another tab. And then you click the triangle again, rename, type in your student's name, and then an additional tab would be created. You then could rearrange these in any order, but you would still have access to all of your students underneath the All Sheets tab here. And you could scroll between students, and you could have as many sheets as you need. Alright, so I hope you find this spreadsheet a little bit more helpful and efficient in collecting data for articulation students.